Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, June 18th, 2022. The fire potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. We're still looking at some very dry, windy conditions out there over eastern Nevada and across much of Utah today. And then tomorrow, the area for strong winds decreases and the wind speeds themselves decrease a bit to being highlighted just over southern and eastern Utah. And then the winds die down by Monday. We also see some cooler temperatures moving into Idaho and western Nevada today, and those cooler temperatures spread throughout much of the Great Basin tomorrow with just those warm conditions out ahead of that front in eastern Utah. And then temperatures will be on the cooler side everywhere on Monday, but some warming starting to move back into the west. We also have some showers associated with this cold front coming into the west today, and spreading a little bit further east tomorrow and then decreasing by Monday, and then some prefrontal moisture coming up from the south. Very limited, kind of isolated thunderstorms in eastern Utah today and tomorrow. Past 24 hours, weather, precip and lightning is shown here. Not too much lightning over, we just had some over western Wyoming and then here along the Utah-Idaho border, but a little bit of precip here and there. Very light amounts, really nothing too significant. Fire activity has increased quite a bit over the past couple of days, especially yesterday, with these very strong, dry, hot winds. It's no surprise that we have seen an uptick in initial attack and even some larger fires. We've got a 400-acre fire here in northern Utah. This one here in eastern Nevada is about 100 acres. So some larger fires out there, certainly nothing very large, but definitely enough to keep initial attack resources busy. Observed precip over the past 14 days is shown here. Inches observed amounts on the left and percent normal on the right. Still same story that we've been looking at for the last month or so, which is more precip across the north, dry across the south. And ERCs have been on the rise with this warm air mass that's moved in over the past couple of days. Here over northwest Utah, those values are up above normal. Still not quite to the record level yet, but certainly on an upward trend with this warm, dry air. And then here in Nevada, and the further south you go, the better chance of those values being close to that historical record line, such as here near Ely. This morning's satellite imagery is showing that trough moving through the Great Basin today, bringing some cooler temperatures and a few scattered showers behind that cold front, and then very windy, warm and dry out ahead of that front still in eastern Nevada and Utah. So again, that trough moving into west coast, centered over western Nevada. High risk issued for many areas across eastern Idaho or eastern Nevada and much of southern and eastern Utah for today. A closer look at the winds shows just where the winds are strongest today. They are very windy in mainly the Utah's west deserts and the southwest portion of the state, with gusts up to 50-55 miles an hour. Quite a windy day. And RHs are also very low in these areas, single digits, where we're seeing those winds, with higher relative humidity behind that front in Idaho and the far northwest corner of Nevada. On Sunday, that low will sweep through the northern half of the Great Basin, bringing temperatures down a bit, mostly across the north and west. Still warm, dry, and breezy out ahead of that front. We do have some lingering high risk there in southern and southeast Utah for those winds. So a closer look at the winds here, really dying down across western Utah and Nevada, but still staying breezy and windy over eastern Utah with low relative humidities in those areas. And then on Monday, that low will start to lift off to the north and east. Cooler temperatures will generally hang around for the day on Monday, with some warming starting to move into the west, but the more significant warming will begin on Tuesday. So again, the maximum temperatures on Monday still fairly cool for the middle of June, second half of June. Highs in the 70s for most of the valleys, a little bit warmer across the west, and winds will really lighten up area-wide. And again, we do have some precip coming in with this low, not very much, mainly bringing some precip to the mountains of central Idaho starting Saturday and then continuing into Sunday. And then there is this little pocket of moisture over northeast Nevada here on Sunday that could bring some thunderstorms with it. So we'll be watching for that. And then just some very isolated storms over eastern Utah today, continuing to some extent on Sunday. So we'll be watching this area. We didn't see much lightning yesterday, so there's a better chance for possibly some thunderstorms to develop in these areas tomorrow and possibly Sunday as well. 3-day precip totals are shown here. So again, the moisture in Idaho and Nevada and northern Utah is all coming in with that front on Sunday for the most part. And then this moisture here in eastern Utah is associated with this monsoon surge, which really is not going to do too much, but could produce some thunderstorms out of it with some lightning. And by Tuesday, that low is exited off to the area. Temperatures will be warming across the basin. There is some southerly moisture still in place, but it's south of the basin on Tuesday. On Wednesday, again, that moisture looks like it starts to move back up into the Great Basin. Temperatures rising as that ridge builds over generally the Four Corners area. We don't have any high risk in place right now. And then on Thursday, we're not looking for a major surge of moisture, just a little bit of moisture coming in under that ridge. So the thunderstorms will probably be fairly isolated, but the air mass in general will be hot and dry. So we'll be keeping an eye on where we might see those thunderstorms developing in the second half of next week. And then on Friday, more of the same. So that high pressure kind of centering itself over the Four Corners area with a little bit of moisture underneath. We'll be watching where that moisture comes in and what it's going to do to our fuels and our fire danger situation. 7-day precip totals are shown here. Not too much of a deviation from the short term. So really that next little hint of moisture coming up underneath that ridge in the second half of next week doesn't look like it's bringing too much significant moisture at this time, but the forecast can definitely change a lot between now and then, so we'll be keeping an eye on that for next week. And the extended forecast taking us into the 1st of July, bringing hot temperatures to most of the basin with cooler temperatures there over the northwest and on the western fringe. Above normal precip over the Four Corners area, so looking at the monsoon coming back into play in a more significant way, and drier across the west and north. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.